Hello people, and welcome back to episode 12 of 5 Builders 1 City Season 2. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And today is my last episode on the save for a little while. This is the end of my rotation. And I think we're going to round out with a wonderful little green cities build today, I think. I'm going to fly up the main street here, see what's going on. City's really starting to come together now, I think. Did a wonderful little bit of detailing last time out as well. Some little school park designs going on. It's all quite cute, isn't it? People are picking up this path action now as well. Fantastic. Very nice indeed. However, but I think what we're going to round out my rotation here is I've been eyeing up this little kind of bank of land alongside the highway and between a little town and suburb that Lee has started to work on last week. And I'm thinking a tiered green cities suburb here. Now I know that a few of the other guys in the save, particularly City Planner, are not massive lovers of terraforming, and they have to respect the topography, but this is going to make a nice little tiered green cities build, I think. Alright, let's start it anyway. Let's see how it turns out, shall we? And of course we're going to give this the self-sufficient buildings and the local and organic produce specializations, so we can go totally green cities here. And I think we're going to start the build. There's a couple of little kind of connections we can tether into here. So let's go with the first one out here. Let's force this down to the ground. Alright. We'll start the build from here. And then pick out our little terrain layers to work with. Let's grab ourselves some level terrain action. With a fairly small brush size. Then we can start pushing this out and up until the highway. I don't want kind of too much of a crazy elevation. Let's maybe take it down tier here, alright? Maybe something like here. I think this will be alright. Let's go for this one. Okay, so this is going to give us our kind of first planned out tier, which I think I'm fairly happy with right now. Let's come on to our snap in. We want road guidelines on here because I want to start aligning with the highway. And now let's see if we can possibly use a fancier road for this kind of front entrance or kind of front tier of the new suburb here. Let's see what we've got going on. About there. Is that going to be alright? I think it is. I think I'm fairly happy with that. Cool. So now come on to our freeform. We're just going to start running with the road guidelines of the highway here. And then just allow that to run for the distance. And of course we can always discuss some detailing palettes for the episode. Let's perhaps bring in a little layer of farm fence that's also going to follow this road. Of course, to stop people just walking off onto the highway. And of course, it would be rude to not even consider some possible pathway action across the highway too. Let's see what we can maybe get involved with. With it being green cities, I'm inclined to use the elevated zoo paths, but let's come off the fine road tools here. Let's see where we want to line up. So ideally, let's maybe take away this house here and clear up a small bit of zoning. Grab ourselves a little pathway. We can get a nice little link through there. Okay, so use move it to tidy up this elevation a touch. Make it look a little more even. And again, I think I'm fairly happy with that. Fantastic. So we'll see how many people begin to use that once the area is all hooked in. Let's bring our farm fence back into the area as well. Okay, got some nice layers of height here too. People moving back and forth. Very nice indeed. Alright, let's get our first zonings down. So of course we could use plot the grow balls to refine, which we very may well do. But I'm after very specific 4x4 lots here, just to get the look that I'm after. So we'll just keep filling all these in. Maybe leaving the occasional space as well, just to bring some pathways through the area. And perhaps we can now upgrade this into something a little fancier. Maybe a little tree road as we come into the suburb, or maybe a grass road and we can use our own trees for decoration. This is almost going to be like a gated community build, I think. Not kind of like a fully gated community, but like a little private development. Let's also sort out this node here. There's a little bit of dimensional tear in there. There we go. Okay, so we'll start to see these guys go up. Of course, we'll give them power and water as well. Let's bring these little water pipes down too. Keep everyone in. And a very temporary power connection up here until we figure out the rest of the sinking. Then why don't we grab in a little loop here and just start to decorate out with some of the smaller Green Cities assets. Also grab our terraforming tools again very briefly and just push this up so that fence isn't sagging down. Very nice. We're getting some people picking up this pathway back and two across the highway now. That is very much appreciated. So I could do using a bit of move it here. They're a little bit janky with the way they're trying to enter the pathway, kind of doing like a little quick 180 no scope as they try and cross the highway, but that's fine. We can figure that out at a later date. Okay, so we're starting to get our little Green Cities housing in here. So let's now move up a tier, and let's figure out kind of what height elevation we're going to pick this out at. We're going to be using our level terrain tool. Now I'm going to start to terraform up and against the back of these initial residential assets. And I think maybe let's trim off a slightly smaller layer than that. I don't want the incline to be too severe. And then we can just bring this up and around again, using the houses as that new boundary for us to level out against. Okay. And then bring it into here as well. Very nice. Let's grab those roads again, and I think I'm going to stick to these little median roads. I think I'm a fan of these for a little suburb like this. It's always good to keep checking from different orientations as well, making sure that everyone's happy. And then where we have these little cut-throughs, we can possibly come through with a little bit of nature reserve fence is always appreciated with the Green Cities vibe, I think. Let's have that come through, and then we can possibly throw in a little bit of bush spice as well. Just nothing too repeated. Quite random and natural always works nicely with Green Cities, I think. And then again, we can continue to zone up. So our demands are pretty even across the board in the city at the minute. Let's take these away as well. So we have shattered a little bit of the zoning, which means those guys will move down to a 4x3, but that's alright. The 4x3 assets are still fairly nice. So very specifically zoning these larger tiles gives us a much more uniform looking suburb in the long run. And then why don't we have a look at a potential asset to sit up and alongside these little commercial assets that we've got going on. Possibly the Botanical Garden would work nicely here. Yeah, I think it would, but it needs to be sat against its own road, so let's take it away and bring in a little one-way loop system using some of these kind of smaller, cuter roads. Maybe one of these. Come off the road guideline, there's way too many around here. We'll just start working on terraforming out a little layer for our Botanical Garden to sit on. Or Biotanical for the long-time subscribers. And this won't centralise by itself, but let's friend move it. He's going to be able to sort this. And that's pretty central, right? I think it is. Very nice. This is going to work really nicely to help complement these little smaller Green Cities assets that we've got going on. Now that we've got those commercial assets in, start fleshing out with a couple of little trees and bushes around them. These markets are really cute. Definitely do some repeated Green Cities patterns today, I think. So what I do want to briefly discuss is the idea of some repeated Green Cities commercial zoning, because there's a few assets within that pool and that work really quite nicely, almost as like a farmer's market vibe. So I think we're going to start introducing this to help break up our commercial zoning. So let's bring out a little dirt road here. Alright, let's make sure that we are, of course, within the district, which we are, which is good. That's nice. And then what we want to do to get these to generate, I will use plot the globals to get them in, but for maybe those without plot the globals, you want to draw in 1x4 commercial patterns like this. Now there's an asset that spawns within this pool of commercial zones here. There is one about to grow. We'll see if we get it in. Organic market. Yeah, this is one of them. And when you put them in a repeated pattern, it just gives a really nice kind of small town farmers market vibe. So we'll get these assets in and then we'll see what we think. So there we go, that's what we're after. A little bit of farmers market action going on here as well. And then within the spaces, you can, of course, continue to zone that up, but it's always a nice idea as well to maybe come through with a little bit of the old vanilla gravel path, and then just help link all these together, like so. Okay, I think I'll probably repeat this on this side as well. We need to terraform a little bit first though, just keep pushing back this cliff side a little bit. Okay, then we'll just prepare our 1x4 zonings. These guys will grow up, just come ahead and grab some of our farm fencing with no snapping on. And I think just like a little blemish of detail within a suburb like this will just help give it that little bit of extra personality. There we go, there's the smallest little sweet spot there. And then perhaps some of our smaller trees. Maybe a little smaller than that, one of these maybe. A little pattern of these alongside the market. And then just to help lie against our suburb, right? So I think I'm fairly happy with that. Oh no, it's barely down. Sorry, looks like some of our zonings have shattered here. I have also brought down a little arterial into the area. Target is on fire, so we can't delete it, that's fine. Now let's tidy up some of these more awkward zonings that we're not a huge fan of, take them away. Okay, but it's a little analysis now of how the area is beginning to develop. You get some nice layers of height up against that highway. So I think I'm fairly happy with that, can't really complain. So again, we'll grab our road, let's come back into the median one. I'm still not totally sold on these medians, I might upgrade it towards the detailing time-lapse as to how this area just starts to look, but I guess we'll see, right? Okay, and I think this will be our third and final tier. So let's come on to just the angle. Alright, and then we'll grab move it. Let's bring this node down a bit so it's a touch more level with the arterial. And then we can now grab our level terrain and just terraform out our third and final layer. And I'll probably take away these housings here too. And just so they're not zoning up on this road, because we're going to be zoning here as well. Just replace them onto the one we're going to do. Okay, I think we've now got a nice little layer to dig out behind the back of the Botanical Garden, and then up into these as well. Possibly bring it out here as well. I think that'll be quite nice, get some little kind of cliffside houses here too. Let's let the terrain be our friend. I'm sure City Planner is going to be having a few words in the group chat after all this terraforming. Is not respecting the topography at all. Alright. Yeah, so I probably have to take these ones away as well. Let's get short of them, take that zoning off, and then we'll just move it down to this layer instead. It's going to give us some nice opportunities of decoration along this smaller road as well that Lee's popped in. It's a little awkward one trying to develop there, but we won't be having that. Okay, so this should be kind of our final road down this end. We've also gone ahead and introduced a little kind of smaller road here. Go ahead and grab this one, it's just one of the small ones with grass. No, not massively happy with that. Let's come down from this node instead. Let's snap to our angle. Okay, and then we'll flip the direction around. The one-way system isn't really necessary, but possibly squeezing a little park asset here for the little suburb. And again, we're just going to continue to zone up with our very specifically sized zonings. Usual 4x4s are always a favourite. Target this one here where it's gone a little bit wonky. Let's have a look at some possible park assets. The Tropical Garden always works nicely with Green City stuff, as does the Japanese Garden. Let's see, we can actually get this in with Anarchy, which I think is acceptable, although I am going to spin this around onto its other side. And we'll just place this as best as we can within the road network. Alright. I don't think I'm hating that. I think that's alright, isn't it? Okay. So again, because we have lots of path network around here, there's a lovely opportunity to link in with the pathway that Lee has drawn up for his trams, but again, the slope's a little steep, so let's just bring that up just a tiny touch. And we'll hopefully get some people start to relocate into the area now as well. I want to make sure we have no traffic lights here either. Let's turn all these off. So as I look at another park asset for this corner, let's maybe throw on, how about a dog park? There's a nice little bordering park asset into the area. Yeah, okay, I'm kind of looking at this slope here with the Botanical Garden. Isn't my favourite thing in the world. Let's maybe try and bring these nodes down a little bit. There we go, and that's a little more sensible, isn't it? Alright, lots of space with these headings coming through here during our time lapse as well. And then again, we can just start bringing in some smaller roads. So I think we'll maybe switch up the road template here now. Let's come on to road length as well. Well, these guys are going to want water too. Let's give them that. Again, following our roads. So, because the tier separates over this side, I think what we're going to do is pick up this terrain height and then draw in over here around the back of this little farmer's market that we've made. And just making sure that we don't bring too much jank into the fences. But otherwise we can start pushing up against the back of these houses now. Now we have to leave some room because this interchange is being redeveloped by one of our guest builders. I think Imperator's tackling this. So we don't want to start encroaching too much in case he needs the room to do some of his wonderful fancy German engineering around here. I think we all know about Imperator's wonderful interchanges on this channel especially. After he built one for us in Palaban, legend that he is. Okay, so scoop out. So at the minute we're kind of running very straight lines. I want to start bringing in some little boxes and curved roads into the suburb now. So we'll kind of use this boundary here as the place to stop. Now we've also got underground metro that I introduced in the first episode over here as well. So let's have a little sneaky peek. So I think we'll just go with the regular underground metro stop. And we get a nice big rundown. With that refund tool, and look into this point, and then again we can just leave this for someone else to pick up. Maybe Imperial Jedi might bring in that metro line for next episode. So let's make sure we've not got too much junk here. There's a little bit of weirdness developing with that fence in there, which we will draw back in. But we can have a little metro stop there. Again, it's a little janky, isn't it? But we'll sort that out during the detail time lapse, of course. So bring some public transport into the area, which again is always appreciated, I think, isn't it? So we'll come on to road length again. Maybe a touch further than that. Okay. Cool. Then we can terraform that to this layer. And then we'll kind of call this as the natural end to our Green City suburb. Of course, we'll lose our zoning as we come in. I believe this can probably be fixed with the zoning adjuster mod, but as long as they're fairly even, I'm not hugely bothered about the shapes and sizes. So we can slot some more specific zoning. Going to be our best friend for generating the look that we're after here. Then we can come back in and grab our small and medium roads. Feed that one into there. Then upgrade this one. And then we can take this one up and back into the main road. I think it'll be nice, and then we'll trim this one off and wait for that one to grow, and then we can put them back to back. Likewise with that one as well. So we'll take those away for the time being. You can regrow as a 3x4, that's going to be fine. And maybe get a couple in this space too. Also over here. And then we'll get a lot of pathways linking people back into the different levels here. And then just starting to see what we think. Again, we'll kind of prepare our terraforming here and allow people to move around the way that they wish. Come on to our freeform tool. Fantastic. And then I guess I'll just leave this open as a dead end for someone to come and pick up for whoever works over here within all these spaces. Alright, very nice indeed. So we'll continue to zone it with our specific patterns. All very simple stuff. Okay, so these ones are in now, so pop in another 4x4 there. And 4x3 there as well. And possibly on the corner, might get in some micro detail in here during the time lapse, of course. But otherwise, guys, that does feel like a good place for a detailed time lapse. It's a little bit bare at the minute, but once we bring in a lot more Green Cities vibes with this, kind of get our fence flowing around here, get some pathways linking people back into to the different tiers, which should be a lot easier with Move It. And then get involved in some kind of smaller street detailing here with maybe some of the park life assets. And of course, actually flesh out our suburban pattern. And once everyone's grown in, we'll kind of have a little bit of a spice sample for how this is going to look right here. But otherwise, let's get detailing, and then we'll see what we look like come the end. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, a like below is always appreciated. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really happy with this little tiered suburb. We've got some nice layers of height developing now, and a ton of people walking around the area too. There's lots of people picking up that metro station, so nice to see. Some public transport factored into the area as well. This is my last episode of the rotation, and next week you guys will have Imperial Jedi. Make sure you go and show him all the love and support in the world, because without Imperial Jedi, you guys would have no egg. He was my original inspiration to start a channel, so make sure that you are following him for his episodes next week, alongside all the other guys as well, who are all linked down in the description below. And a huge thank you again for all the support to everyone watching, my subscribers, and the guys involved for allow me into the project. Just super stoked. I'm really happy. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the outro Taj, and this place does look amazing at night time, and lots of walking spice as well, which I think we can all appreciate. But otherwise, I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.